all the great work the team has done, and these individuals here with us today.
The final live stream for Into the Light, guys, April 2nd, 2024.
Rewards associated with them, and some PvP stuff. So let's dive in. Let's
0 hour. I guess exotic missions are coming back. Certain exotics, and there's going to be some new exotics. Well, they got a freaking outbreak perfected right there.
Excited to be here. Yeah, no, it's good to have you. We have a lot of fun. For the folks at home that may not be familiar with you or your work, what do you do here at Bungie, if you don't mind my asking?
I'm an activity designer for Into the Light. I worked on the 0 hour reprise.
Excellent. Well,
with 0 hour reprise.
We may as well start diving into the show at hand. We have
a lot of cool stuff to
start with. In addition to, like we mentioned, some awesome reprise exotic missions, including the Whisper and 0 hour, which will both feature, craftable versions of each weapon. But let's go ahead and
you're going to be able to
start
craft these guns.
The Whisper. We've had a chance to go ahead and kind of pull back the curtain and look behind the scenes a little bit. Let's go ahead and start from the very top.
Rewarded with great power.
Yeah.
And that was the contract. And so one of the other things we did, and you can see it up here in the upper left, continues.
Yeah.
And, that's the red herring.
It all started on a whiteboard.
So we thought,
There's some of the...
I'm on IO, and I found this place that I've never seen. I didn't know existed.
Some of the art.
Yeah. Green room as well.
The green room.
There's a trap in the center that if you mess up, you end up going down the trap, and you get punished for it. And when you get out, you end up back in the room. And it just happens again and again and again. And there's all these different ways.
Challenges that you'd say you
There's
have to
some of the gameplay, guys.
Sure
I guess this is the new Whisper mission. I don't know if it's
so sandbox-wise, players nowadays pack a lot more power than they did before. People can clear entire rooms of ads from these activities back when they were in their original state.
Yeah.
Just like extremely quickly. So we had to beef up the number of combatants that are in these encounters, and later on I might talk more about additional tuning that I've done on them.
Totally, yeah, we can come back to that in a second, but I think also too, really quickly, back in the day, there was a very bespoke way of getting into the Whisper. You had kind of hang out on IO, wait for this mysterious portal to come up, but we've made some changes to that as well. I think you were mentioning before we hopped on the air.
Oh yeah, I mean, I was a victim of it, right? We had the public event with the RNG, and you had to wait for the right one, and one time I tried to take a coworker through on a Saturday, and we spent like 7 hours just trying to get a few runs because of the public event.
It's like a mini raid, guys. It's insane. I do remember doing this way back in the day, but they took it out of the game, I think. So now it's back.
But you're not going to have to deal with the frustrating trigger to get in anymore.
Excellent. That's always good to hear. Giving a chance, especially if people are going to come back in here multiple times as they kind of build up their craftable exotics. Obviously, a pretty key component. Also, too, is I think it's worth mentioning that this has undergone more changes than just the combat landscape.
Yeah.
For the veteran players who are coming in here, folks like myself that have maybe kind of had a lot of this committed to memory, how have you gone ahead and made sure that it's fresh for those veteran guardians out there?
Yeah, well, the goal was, how is this going to be exactly what you just said, right? Like if I've played this 10, 15, 20 times, I've guided people through, maybe I've made a video about how to get through here. How's it going to speak to me, right? Like what's going to be cool for me to go in and do it again? And that was the goal that the team had. And when we knew we were going to do this, I made my own list, right?
Yeah.
Like I was like, we're going to change this, we're going to move that, we're going to...
This
I was really
mission looks so
excited
cool.
So Tom was in this meeting.
Can't wait to do this.
I show up and give one away. When you first get in, there's that first secret chest room on the right.
Right.
The anomaly has taken care of that. It's not there anymore.
Is taking care of it. So
more surprises.
to the Steam guide writers, to the game facts writers, to the folks making their YouTube videos, a revision 2 is going to be in order sometime soon.
Oh yeah.
By the sounds
Revision
of it.
2?
That's really exciting. Also, too, is are there any other changes that you guys are particularly excited about when it comes to the Whisper? We're going to move on to 0 hour here in a little bit, but before we conclude our journey here, Willie, actually on your side, are there any changes in particular that you're excited about with this updated version?
I'm excited about the way that the boss fight has changed for this activity.
Interesting.
Okay, don't show too much, guys.
We'll leave that to folks to go ahead and discover on their own when it comes to the launch date of the Whisper. But yes, this is the first look.
All these physical challenges and people getting knocked down or flipped over and stuff and trying to get through things. And there's just a lot of for a long time. The hazard
this is
going to
some
get
0
you,
hour
it's gonna
concept
come down
art,
at
guys.
you. And on the left, you can see the original whiteboard drawing of what this could look like.
The original whiteboard drawing.
And there you see the hill with the slots.
Yeah.
We basically lifted off of Takeshi's castle.
Yeah.
And then that evolved into what we eventually made as a maze.
Yeah.
Right. And then there's the very first drawing of Trevor. And on the right, you can see a concept art by one of our artists named Fan Gao.
Mm-hmm.
And when I looked at it, it had a bit of a vacuum cleaner. You know, it didn't quite nail the feel. It's just about
All right, drop you in a maze.
So those were the first 3.
0 hour. This is how it's
This
going to
thing
start. I
is
think I did this
faster than
message,
you.
this
So
mission
you know
to
you're
get the
in there with
outbreak
something that you
perfected
can't
back in the
kill,
day.
that can go faster than you.
But I think I
And then,
cheesed
of
it.
course, we did the centipede bottom,
Yeah.
which I had this particular phobia of centipedes. Like,
It was like a
The fact that you
cheese.
took
Actually, my
something
buddy,
that's
blessed
such a
by God,
fear
cheesed
and
it.
put it front and center, honestly, like it's
Yeah.
commendable.
I watched this video.
We
like,
basically
you know,
went through
where
the whole thing, and
this
we
dude
just
takes
cheesed,
a giant
I guess, the
centipede
last
and lets
boss.
it bite him on the arm.
Why would you do that to
I
yourself?
don't know. I almost passed out like watching this video. Centipedes terrify me. And so
It
I
is
thought,
kinda
a lot
cool
of
how
this
you're
thing
going,
just
like,
has to
through
be
the
sideways
tower and
centipede
stuff.
legs that are made out of
And
metal,
through,
and
like-
they just grind you up when it catches you.
You like the back.
And then the final piece of the
Is this the
formula
old
for this
Destiny
thing
1
really
tower?
was to put a super bright light on it.
That's kind of
that
cool.
would shine as a shadow caster across your, like, past your body, so you can see your own shadow.
Oh, you're
as
literally
you're trying
fighting
to
at the
get away.
Destiny 1 tower,
And,
bro.
honestly, like, a lot of it was
Was the
inspired by
original
the
0 hour inside the
anxiety
Destiny 1 tower?
that
I don't
feel,
remember.
and I think folks on the team also felt when we talked about, like, the trope of a subway that's coming around the corner.
Right.
Right.
Do you
It's
see
just-
that
it's always-
finite
yeah.
just clock running out
It's
in front
coming.
of you?
Yep.
Yeah.
You see the light coming, and then you see the thing.
Yeah.
And so that really helped us figure out how to make this thing as freaky as
This
possible.
time, no Indiana Jones laying down on the tracks hoping for the best here.
Yeah, no.
Not a chance.
Yeah,
No. Trevor's gonna chew you.
But
up.
I don't understand, because look
So
at the
also,
Traveler.
we're-
It
we
still
found
looks
ourselves
like
now,
it's
we're in the beginning stages
when
here
Destiny
of the
2
Whisper we
first
can
came
see on
out.
screen. Willie, we kind of touched on this briefly over the course of the Whisper, but can you tell us a little bit about what it was like sort of reinventing these combat spaces and these encounters for Guardians in a modern sandbox, especially those that are going to have the Brave arsenal available to them?
Yeah, so just
Why
now
does the
you
city look
saw
so
a
bright?
brig in this encounter, which there wasn't one before. I think there's the desire to keep the soul of the activity, which is that, oh, there's time pressure on me to finish this activity quickly, and also I'm going up against powerful enemies that are trying to stop me from doing that. So we wanted to make sure that the combat still felt challenging, even in today's sandbox. So we added some new combatants with the brig. And we also just increased the number of combatants, period, so that players had more to do with their more diverse and deadly tools.
Yeah. Guardians have plenty of those available to them. When you were developing these combat spaces as well, were there any moments where you really thought to yourself, like, all right, this is it. Like, we've really centered in on
Why
what's
is this
great
guy
about this
sorting
mission
a
originally,
walker?
But this is going to be appropriately challenging for today's Guardians.
Yeah, I think when we play tested it, and we had everybody load up with their like new maneuverability tools, their swords, their grapples, to go through the activity, and then we were expecting that, like, oh, people are going to breeze through this. Like,
I don't
it's
even
nothing,
remember
like, the
doing
original
this.
20-minute timer has to become
I just
something
remember
else,
going to
but
the tower.
Really, all of that translated over pretty well. Like, the individual sections are self-contained enough that, like, you can't bypass too many things by just using one new tool.
Sure.
The whole thing sort of still felt like 0 hour.
Yeah.
Even with your new.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Even with, we're going to
that
go ahead
tuna?
and jump forward here a little bit as well, using our dev tools to take a look at Trevor as well. So for the
Cereal.
folks out there that want to reinstill that fear in themselves, now's a brief chance to check it out. Also, too, is we're in a world where, there's strand grapples, there's shatter skating. When it came to kind
Shatter
of
skating.
redesigning these activities, or even making, I guess, alterations more appropriately on these activities.
Eyes of Tomorrow, is that the
with
one
like
that they're
Trevor,
gonna
for
show?
example, what was the challenge that you would know? Yeah, actually, something too that I'm seeing pop up in chat here is the mention of the timer. So for starters, there's also, this is normal difficulty, and there's also legend, is that right? Yeah, Tom,
yeah,
can you tell
it's
us
the
a little
kill
bit
room.
about like any updates to the timers in
Maze
these missions
little
as well?
room.
So,
Yeah, I remember
feel
this
free to
one
hop
for
and correct me
sure.
if I'm wrong, but on normal, it's 40 minutes because we want to give players a little bit extra time, especially
Sure.
if you're new. We want this to be accessible. Everyone would get in there and get the experience. But a lot of our kind of like quests, content, and secrets are in the legend version, which has a 20-minute timer.
Yes.
Yep.
Interesting. Okay, perfect. All right. Thank you, chat. In addition to these other updates you've made, Are there anything or any changes you've made in particular that you're excited about that you're comfortable talking about it here, or is it just you want players to dive in and find out for themselves?
Yeah, so the whole secrets setup for 0 Hour is different. So, previously we had key cards. Those have been replaced by another secret system that you'll just have to find out more about for yourself.
Excellent.
And I'm also proud of the boss fight in this activity.
That's right. Yeah, we'll hold that one close to the vest. Players will have a chance to see that on their own and see Willie's hard work in person very soon. Now, as we mentioned at the top of the show as well.
So the one that I had was tracking robotic 3-vectored.
This fool just got glitched out in the Matrix.
Bit about what,
all right, here's the
players are
craftable exotics, guys. Whisper of the Worm.
Whisper all to their own.
They're
What are they
showing
gonna have
off
to look
first
forward to with all
that
this?
the exotic.
Yeah,
perks you
even
can
before
get
we get into the
and stuff.
crafting, like I've got my notes here from Chris Proctor, so
Yeah, the man
ready to go.
himself.
Yeah, he's
Right.
sitting on my shoulder, helping me out here. And we wanted to retain the fantasy of both these weapons, of both of Whisper and of Outbreak. And Whisper, it's a hard hitting precision weapon where you're in the backfield. Like, and if you land your crits, you're rewarded, and you can sustain
The new
a ton of
Whisper and
damage on a-
Outbreak's
on a
gonna be
boss or
insane,
enemies
guys.
with a large critical area.
Ogres will be felled.
Ogres would be felled. The servitors. stand no
Don't stand a chance. Yeah.
And then with Outbreak, the fantasy is all about spreading the plague of Siva nanites.
Certainly.
Just
and we'll be looking at that
infecting
in a
people
minute,
with
but
I think we're
Siva.
looking at Whisper right now.
Yeah, so specifically with Whisper and Outbreak, for both of them, with both these crafted weapons, they'll both have a craftable barrel, magazine, traits, and stock options. The barrel and magazine options will let you really push the stats around. So you'll be able to have a max stability Whisper if you want.
Yeah.
Which was really advantageous for a weapon that's about this hitting
Steady rounds, that
repeated
might be
critical
good.
hits.
Certainly.
Steady
in
rounds
an
or
area.
accurized rounds.
And then specifically for the perks on Whisper, and both the perks on Whisper and Outbreak are
Mulligan,
things that
no
by engaging our
distractions.
secrets week over week, and both of these exotic missions, you'll be
Missing
able
a
to
shot
unlock them.
has a chance to return directly into the
And
magazine.
Whisper, it starts off with Mulligan, which is the classic perk where if you miss your shots, they get refunded. But if you upgrade it, you can get Field Prep, which will give you more shots, which equals more damage.
Yeah.
And then there's No Distractions, which will allow you to,
I'm using No Distractions, bro.
Under fire, hold your aim on your target better.
Or
And
Precision
there's also
Instrument.
Enlightened Action, which is for more forgiving reloads. So there's, I think, a lot of options for players at different
No, I
skill
like
styles and
No
skill levels there.
Distractions.
And then just the cherry on top there with Whisper is that it's getting a reserves bump. So it's going to go from 18 in reserve to 24 in reserve. So you're going to have a ton of ammo to just make it a sustained
good.
damage monster.
Yeah.
Which
Gonna
is,
have more
is
reserve
super
ammo.
exciting.
So ultra precise players like myself who never miss a shot will have
So you
even
can't
more.
get
Why are you
snapshot
guys
on it, though.
laughing? What are you,
Sorry.
Why is that funny? No, that's really exciting. We have Whisper the Worm in addition to Outbreak Perfected now joining the pool of craftable exotic weapons. Let's take a quick look at Outbreak as well while
Take
we're
a
here.
quick
hanging
look
out
at
in the
Outbreak.
Enclave. Tom, kind of, second verse, same as the
Dang,
first, same
Outbreak looks
question. Can you tell us
crazy.
a little bit about some of the perks and updates that players will have available to them with their options to craft Outbreak?
Of course, you get your
Perfected?
exotic
And
perks
so in
still.
addition to barrels and mags, it has its classic outlaw perk is back. So you get your fast reloads on final blows, which works really well about without.
I really like Outlaw. I don't even know if I wanna change that.
To either spawn nanites or to kill enemies and spawn nanites and spread that Siva energy around.
Spread the plague.
Spread the plague. And then
Spread the
the
plague.
second one though that we're added here is rapid hit, which plays right into that. So you land your precision shots, you get more stability, you get faster reloads.
Ooh, rapid hit might be
Then
better.
Another new one is
Head seeker?
rewind
Rewind
rounds.
rounds?
It's
Say
hard
that
for me to
3 times
say.
fast, yeah.
Try it out.
Yeah.
Which refills your
So
reserves
that-
from,
it's like a no time to
minimize your
explain
reloads.
mixed with
If
it.
you're hitting shots, you're just going to keep getting more ammo, which
Yeah.
is really kind of interesting.
Perpetual motion machine, no perpetual death
So
machine.
yeah, it's like, do you want the reloads, or you just want to keep shooting?
Yeah.
And then there's also a head seeker, which I think maybe
Head
for PvP
seeker.
or for certain play styles where you're less focused on your critical shots. That's something to think about as well.
Right.
In terms of catalysts, if you already have them,
Yeah.
you're golden. You can craft those. If you don't,
There you go.
play the legend version of Whisper
Disease
and
Vector?
0 Hour, and you'll have a chance to get them.
Very
So
cool.
that's still in
Increase
there.
nanite
And then, as I
damage.
mentioned, for unlocking these new intrinsic perks that you can
Oh.
slot in,
Yeah.
it'll be like a 3-week
I don't have
mini
the-
quest line
that-
that rolls
the
into the
catalyst
secrets
for
for
that
each
gun.
of these. And Whisper is coming at launch with Into the Light.
Exciting.
And 0 Hour is coming in May.
Perfect. Okay. So
Zero
you have a
Hour
chance
is
to go ahead and
coming
sink your
May,
teeth into
so
Zero
Whisper's
Hour for a
coming
while
at,
before you go ahead and change your attention and start unlocking another one of the storied exotics of old.
Yeah.
Also, it's worth mentioning that there are more than just the craftable weapons available as rewards in these missions. There's some tried and true ships. Now, we were talking a little bit about this earlier, but as someone who still to this day wears 1,000 wings.
You and me?
Yeah, like we know the feeling of getting that ship and finally having that I was there moment.
Time gating.
The ships are making a
People in
return
the
as well,
comments.
isn't that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so for both Whisper and for Zero Hour, they're coming back. Is it the exact same ship, or are there going to be changes on them?
No, these are actually new assets, right? They're new ships, so they won't be the same. They won't sit in the same spot in your inventory, and they are updated to look really cool and new. And I think they're exciting, especially we took the old scrap drifter ship that was, I think. Not really loved particularly by the community because it was literally scrapped together from spare parts to get built, and so we did a really nice pass on that. So it's
When are we gonna
inspired
be
by
able
the
to
look
fly our
of
ships, Destiny
Outbreak
3 or what?
Perfected, and I think it looks great. I think the community is going to love it.
Yeah.
And then we have the Whisper ship, 1,000 Wings. It's got a new design, so you'll still have your old 1,000 Wings, and if you have that equipped, players are going to know that you're OG and that you got it back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
And the new one is going to look like the new one, so there won't be any mistaking the old one for the new one.
Very cool. So some of the players who want to go ahead and continue to build up their collections, there's a chance to go ahead and dive back in. Maybe they weren't there originally, but they want to go ahead and join the 1,000 Wings Club to a degree.
Exactly.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So there'll be a chance to go ahead and unlock those as well. Excellent. Well, I think we are actually about at the point of the show we're going to go ahead and get ready to rotate over to the PvP map pack. But for starters,
The PvP
let's go ahead
map
and make sure
pack.
we thank our incredible team of playtesters here, going ahead and showing off the missions for us. Ashley, Peyton, and Michael, thank you all so much. Very much. There we go. We're getting some waves from the backstage. Thank you all so much for the time. And of course, Willie, I think this is unfortunately the time now we bid you adieu to go ahead and transition into the PvP
Thanks
map
for
pack.
having me.
See you soon.
Awesome, Willie. Thank you so much. All right, we are now
Cool
joined
dip.
by another member of the Bungie development team, a staff artist here who has helped made many of the PvP maps that you've also known and loved, the one and only Mr. Cooley Callahan. Cooley, welcome to the show, man.
Cooley Callahan.
it
So
going?
this is our
Good to see
PvP
you.
guy
Thanks
who
for
makes our
having me.
map. Or what?
Absolutely, it's
map?
been so long.
Yeah, it has. It's been a minute.
Look at us, right? Who would've thought? Yeah.
That's full circle.
Yeah. Now, we were talking a little bit before the show about Cooley.
So Cooley is certainly
PvP
one of
strike
those.
team,
He's
guys.
a 6-year veteran of the
Six-year
PvP team
veteran.
who shipped over 11 maps.
Yeah.
A lot of them are fan favorites, and I'm not going to steal any more of Cooley's thunder. I'll just let him talk about some of that.
What maps are you making, bro?
Not everyone's a banger. I mean, there's definitely some maps that people would want some words with me. But I
We'll
think,
save that for later. But what are some of the
yeah,
bangers?
come on,
Disjunction, bro?
It's
You the one who
I
made
think,
that?
Burning Shrine,
Yeah.
which is now Burnout. It's such a
Let's
classic
go.
map.
Burning
It's,
Shrine.
a Trials favorite. And then Midtown is another map that turned out really well. We built that for Countdown, but I was just chatting with another Destiny fan at the dog park the other day, talking about how well that map supports all of the different engagement ranges, which is definitely something that
I think it was the
All right,
3v3 kind
three
of
maps,
competitive
guys.
side of things was sort of the focus for these maps.
I'm gonna hide my
Absolutely.
face.
Yeah,
so
I
you
think
guys can
early
see it.
on, a lot of the direction that we got was we wanted to bolster that competitive gameplay experience with new maps, tweaks to the modifiers of some of the modes, and so we, in our play testing, really focused on the competitive playlist and really centered and put those experiences at the forefront. And then, all Destiny maps, can suit a variety of modes, so we also made sure they worked elsewhere. But for the most part, we really did want to provide new experiences and just breathe a little bit of new life into the higher, maybe a little bit sweatier gameplay.
So weird how you were staring directly at me when you said sweaty. That's fine. We'll let it go for now.
That fool, he's like,
actually,
I'm not
briefly
sweaty.
too on that topic before we kind of go into the guided tour of these maps. Having had so much time to sort of be a part of building the tapestry that so much of our PvP happens on, what were some of the key lessons that you've kind of taken away from having built those maps and seen them go through everything from trials to quick play and bringing forward those lessons into these maps?
Yeah, I think one thing that is always at the forefront of our minds is, trying to strike that balance between, providing the playground for players to express themselves and express their guardian
about
and their
the coughing,
play
guys.
style. So a
Kinda
lot of
sick.
verticality, a lot of movement, and then balancing that with making sure players understand where they're getting shot from, and creating a satisfying PvP engagement that doesn't that doesn't leave players, cursing the map or,
Sure.
Feeling like they don't understand why they died. So
Yeah.
we want to make sure that players have,
This guy
we want to
definitely made
provide
multiplex.
a choice for players that's always available to them to riff and to work with their team to use the map to their advantage. So
Yeah.
it's a balancing like a complex gameplay space that allows a lot of movement and freedom without opening it up so much that you're not understanding like, geez, I can get shot from so many different places.
Certainly.
So we really it's a little bit of back and forth. We'll open it up. We'll try some things.
Yeah.
Especially this time around, we tried some stuff and got into the weeds a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think that's all part of the discovery process of finding the gameplay that we want to create. And so we go a little further, maybe too far in
Let's see
the
the new maps.
openness and Swiss cheese, and then we bring it back and make it a little bit more focused and really dial in the engagements that we want.
That's awesome. I mean, speaking of getting in the weeds, there's no time like the present. Shall we go ahead and dive on in?
Absolutely.
Excellent.
Let's see
Dive
it.
on in.
Let's see
all
the
right,
new
we got the
maps.
first of 3 maps to go ahead and show off. This is the we have one on Europa, one on Neomuna, and then one on one of the pyramid ships in Essence, I believe. Is
That's
the
right.
location. So this is the first one. This is here on Europa. Cooley, can you tell us a little bit about what we're seeing here today, or where we are?
Yes, so this map is called Eventide Labs, and this is
Eventide
a
Labs.
long-forgotten human colony research outpost on Europa.
5 minutes left.
And
Keep it up.
it just so happens that Aramis has chosen this location as a refueling station for her catch. So here you'll see, perched just above the horizon is her catch in the skybox with, it's getting hooked up, and
This looks like a
we have
D1
circuit over
map,
here
huh?
That's hooked up to the catch to provide that ether that the elixir
What happens to all the
needs.
other maps they took out of the
So
game?
we really wanted to situate the maps in the universe and draw on that deep Destiny lore. But yeah, we definitely have a presence of Fallen here, set amongst the abandoned human, ice-encrusted structures of the past, which has been a really fun environment to work on.
This
We
is
definitely want to
Thief-
bring
this
in
is Thief's
as many new
Den.
palettes
Remember
as
that map
possible
from
because
Destiny
there's so
1?
much great environment art content. The palettes are really cool, and we want to use those in PvP wherever we can, just to
It's-
the different palettes have
That's
different
from Destiny
character that
1.
leads to different gameplay spaces.
This is the
Also,
exact
when
map.
it comes to kind of finding these maps of place in the world, Rob, having kind of looking at
They
through
did
an
change
artistic
it, looks
lens,
like, a little bit.
What were some of the challenges or even kind of exciting opportunities potentially of finding, new places for these maps to live in the more modern era of Destiny that we've been experiencing more recently?
Well, we really wanted to make sure that when we do an update like this, it's
Yeah,
a
it
major
is,
refresh
dude.
to the map.
They
rotator,
freaking
right? Like
did it, bro.
We're adding
And they
quite a
just
bit of
made it
variety
ice.
here. We wanted to make sure that we had 3 distinctly different places
See,
and places
people know.
that players haven't seen a bunch of times. So
Right.
fortunately, we had these available to us, and
That's crazy.
I'm looking at it again now. I mean, I'm not getting sick of looking at this. The team does such a good
It
job.
is gorgeous. This is, one of the cool things is just how purposeful everything feels in the world.
Yeah.
The art team always pushes it so far where it really feels like you're walking into a truly recently defunct, human colony or whatever
Wow.
the case may be.
Yeah, and the frozen world of Europa. I mean, they all have their advantages for PvP.
Reminds me of a
but,
Halo.
the
They're getting that Halo
the
feel
frozen
again,
ice walls of Europa are just perfect for
Yeah.
multiplayer, and I'm sure Cooley's going to talk about this a bunch.
Yeah, actually, also too, Cooley, if you wouldn't mind, as people who have heard me talk too much about Destiny PvP would know, Dead
Yeah,
Man's
that's
Tale
from
and I
that
get along
other
a
map
lot.
for sure.
Can you tell us a little bit maybe
remember
about some of
that.
the sight lines or opportunities that I'll have to maybe rack up some additional kills as I dive into this map the first time?
Totally. If long range is your thing, this spot out here is definitely the place for you. There's one spawn that happens for
Looks
one
like
team
they
over by
made it a
C
little
and then
wider,
one
though.
over by A, and so in these competitive modes,
than
if you've
it
got an
was in
objective
Destiny 1.
out here, this sight line is really important to lock down. So this is this is a spot where you're gonna have 2 teams poking and peeking each other, and then rushing over here to try to get to this zone and lock it down. And
Yeah.
if you're rolling with that long range kit, you can hang back and sort of lock down this airspace here so that
He's
you
all
can
hang
provide
down and
cover
just lock in.
maybe support your team from being harassed down on this point. And then
Fantastic.
we also have sort of this the sight line in the middle, which will be pretty fun. It's definitely going to be a race to for each player or each team to kind of get to this spot and lock down this sort of portal here to ensure that you can push into this space and kind of control the middle. But as you can
Bring
see,
back
there's
Crossroads.
lots of
goated
ways
comment.
for players to come in and flank. So if you're holding the space, you'll really not want to be here for too long unless you've got the support to do it.
Yeah. Make sure you throw those grenades right off of the rip, basically, when you're coming out of spawn.
Right
to
off
try
the
and,
rip. He's,
conquer that territory as best you can.
I kind of like
one of
that
the
guy,
things I
bro.
love
He's
about
funny.
these ice caves is, it provides a lot of opportunity for grenades, like trip mines, and to bounce things off of the back of the walls. And the shapes here are just really fun to play with.
All right, so this is one of 3 maps. Let's go ahead and prepare to go ahead and move on to the next one here really
map.
quickly. We've got coming
Map
up
looks
next,
good.
Neomuna as well. So finding a place, on Neomuna, obviously that
So far.
makes sense for PvP. Probably seems pretty natural, honestly, given just like how rich and vibrant and exciting of a place it is. What was it like, even starting from an artistic standpoint on this map, Rob?
This was a really exciting map for the team. It's a shopping/entertainment center for the Exos on Neomuna. And,
Yeah.
Dude,
so
this
there's
one's
a
gonna
lot
be
of really
tight.
fun decoration, and the spaces have a lot of character
Let's
to them.
go.
There's a lot of recognizable
Are you
things,
going yet, bro? No,
human scale things that look relatable, and we don't always
Circus
get that
Plaza?
in all of our palettes. And so
Oh,
this is
Circus
also an
Plaza.
opportunity for us to have a really clean architectural
Ooh.
map that has a lot of crisp edges and
Looks like a
very,
Halo
flat
Infinite or Halo
floors.
5 map.
So all of definitely the more competitive players and the sort of the more PvP
More competitive, yeah.
diehards, they really take to this map, and it's an instant hit. People are, just right away pleased with
This guy just starts
how
flying?
readable the map is. It's one of those maps that you play a couple times and you
Developer
get it.
mode,
you
guys.
understand that it's all about this center
can
atrium room
use cheats,
that
not
is
really.
really open and kind of has this big pit in the middle, and then
Dude,
there's
this looks
area
like
down here, which
reflection
is,
from
where a lot of
from
objectives spawn, and there's
from,
some special ammo down
Halo
here. But then there's
Reach.
also this
Is
place
this
over here
reflection?
where the heavy ammo spawns, and players will oftentimes just pop up here to do a quick check and maybe
Look, I
try
called
to
it
get
Halo
a cheeky
Reach,
kill
bro.
on somebody who's maybe running
Halo
from
Reach.
cover to cover, but you can't hang out here
Halo
for very long
Reach,
because
man.
you've got so many different angles at which you can get shot from. But that's kind of like that balance.
Halo
of what I was talking
map,
about
let's
before. Like,
go.
we want to provide that, but we want to make sure that it's
Reflection.
not too powerful, or it's a risk reward, right? You're making a trade-off, and the
We know
players
what
who
you
are
guys
using
did.
the map well and who understand the map will be able to use it to their advantage.
Yeah, actually, also too, to kind of focus on the readability. I remember overhearing some discussions with you designers talking about the clean zone in PvP. Can you tell us a little bit about what that is and how it kind of helped inform the design of this map?
Yeah, definitely. I think the clean zone is something that a lot of developers really use to sort of create this space for the player to pop, right? To really stand out from the environment. And so for us, it's about where the player's head height is. And this map is, just one of the examples of
that's
how
cool. It's like
it
a
can
bar.
really provide for a good PvP experience to have this sort of mark on the wall where you can kind of expect players to reside in.
Yeah. Till they jump around and strands suspend you in the air, and you're just left there cursing the heavens for a little while. Maybe I'm speaking on my own behalf. This is looking fantastic. Yeah, this is, I will say, one of the maps that, having done a little bit of play testing myself, I still have to give you credit for perhaps one of the most diabolical heavy weapon spawns, or heavy ammo spawns, rather, I should see, in any PvP map. Like the sheer amount of risk reward that goes into just making your way safely, or so you think, out to that particular territory.
Yeah, it's like Halo.
As you guys were even building that
You have to
balance
fight
in
for
of
heavy.
these consumables on the
It's just
map,
not given
Cooley,
to
what was
you.
it like, sort of having that process
Fight for the
evolve
power.
or grow?
Yeah. Typically when we start laying out a map, we just kind of start with control because it's a good base point. It requires 3, very well-defined combat pockets that have an objective in them. But then from there, we start mapping out the other objectives that might exist on a map, like the heavy ammo point. And I think we've kind of gravitated more toward having special ammo live next to some of the other objectives on the map, so you're not constantly having to make a choice of where should I go. But we kind of map those things out, and it's sort of a formula. There's definitely a sort of a order of operations, so to speak, of you start with these big strokes, you go to the next stage and start making sure that you've got space and combat pockets for maybe Dominion or some other game modes, and things just kind of fall into place from there.
Excellent. All right, and we've got one more map to check out as well. For all the fine folks at home, we're going to continue our guided tour, and we're going to make our way over to Essence, to one of the pyramid ships, to check out the final PvP map that'll be releasing in this pack. As we're flying in, I gotta give you guys credit. Like, the space that exists inside those pyramid ships that's being terraformed by the Traveler looks just absolutely incredible. But this is the first time you guys have had a chance to really flex your muscles and build a PvP map out here. Rob, just to start from your perspective as we load in, what was it like developing this, playground for Guardians that's kind of so deep in the enemy's backyard?
I think it was really tough. I remember there were quite a few iterations of this map, and I know Cooley's going to go into more detail, but like from a high level, it's a pretty inherently noisy palette. Cooley was talking about the clean zone. There's some palettes in the game that are just very visually noisy. So the geometry is noisy. They create a lot of shadow and a lot of highlights just by the geometry itself. And then the textures, the shaders that are on the geometry, those can be noisy.
Yeah.
And then there's the clutter of the palette. So when you have
like
an environment with a lot of entropy, and there's just rubble everywhere, there's like garbage strewn around or plants hanging down, like we often do in Destiny, we have to declutter. Some of like the European dead zone maps, for example, are highly cluttered. And so this was an example of one of those fairly entropic, high clutter palettes that the team had to kind of wrangle into shape.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Cooley's going to talk about that process, because it was quite a process.
Yeah. Actually, Cooley, I'd love to continue and just start there. Taking this space on a pyramid ship and kind of making it suitable for a PvP map. What was that process like from your perspective, kind of from more of a design side?
A clean map.
Yeah, it's again a process of back and forth.
This looks so lit.
We start with mass out, and mass out is the simplest and cleanest a map will ever be, and from there we start developing the spatial character of the map. And one of the things we like to ask ourselves is, what is this place? And even with a more abstract palette like the Essence ship, it's worth asking that question, because we can leverage spatial archetypes that just kind of like naturally resonate with people. So like here we have, in this map, we have sort of these dueling huts, or these dueling ziggurats, and inside of them is this artifact or shrine. So maybe this is maybe this part of the ship is a collection of mysterious artifacts that the Witness has collected. And so we lean on those things to give a little bit of rhyme and reason to a space that otherwise is completely abstract. And that is also really useful for us in terms of we can make any kind of space we want. Like, we're not limited by architectural constraints, but it can be tough sometimes to orient players in the map when you don't have things like doors or like TVs or any sort of human scale architectural pieces that kind of clue you in. So.
I see.
It's also too is I remember we were talking a little bit before the show, Rob, even about what it was like from a design standpoint and bringing in external testers to try these maps out for the first time. Can you tell us a little bit about that experience, kind of as you I think phrased it, discovering your own blind spots?
Yeah, well, we've done this before for years, really, and we did it again here, and it was, I think, really successful because it was 2 days. They ran through these maps when they were still in development. They weren't too far enough along where we couldn't make some pivots that we needed to.
Yeah.
And they found a lot of stuff. I mean, for this map, for example, we thought it was in a pretty good place.
Yeah.
And a lot of things were called out. They didn't pull any punches. They were honest and clear and constructive with the feedback. And it wasn't super easy to hear it all, but when the team listened to it, and we took tons of notes. And it was also about, they gave feedback on our sandbox as well.
Yeah.
But lots and lots of map feedback. It was incredibly useful. And just another lesson in what we don't see. And it's so valuable to do that. And I can't say who they were, but they're very well-known community players.
There's folks in chat, who knows?
But we really were careful about who we brought in, because we wanted people that would be very pragmatic. They weren't interested in their own YouTube monetization strategy or how they particularly make content. They wanted the game to be in a great place. They wanted PvP to be in a great place for the community.
Oh, these are
and for
professional
Destiny,
PvP.
Absolutely.
right? And they were carefully selected that way, and great communicators who could articulate the feedback. They could really speak to what they were experiencing and what we could do to fix what they were experiencing.
Yeah.
And I'd like Cooley can probably say what he thinks about it too. But I was just blown away by how valuable that was, and we definitely want to keep doing that.
Certainly.
Thank you for some new
Cooley,
maps.
Can you tell us a little bit more about that experience on your side as well?
Totally. I mean, it's so fun to those are some of my favorite moments when we can get a bunch of super fans from the community in and show them work in progress stuff, and they can actually give us real actionable feedback that we take back to our desks and talk about it, and we discuss how can we sort of take their feedback and move forward. And this content is for them in a big way, right? Like we need their approval. Like we absolutely, that's our mark. That's our goal is to create content that they're going to love playing and that they're excited to play and that their communities are going to get excited to play.
Let me see if I got the emblem yet.
Learn together and build strategies for. That's the funnest part of the job.
Yeah. I mean, also, Cooley, on your side in general, what are you most excited for players to experience once this gets out into the world with Into the Light?
Yeah, I'm excited to see these maps rotate into trials. I'm excited for players to have a totally new trials experience that, is going to be a sort of an experience of discovery of these new spaces and new strategies, and for players to also, the meta isn't really formed yet. I mean, we sort of know how the map plays, but it's always a fun surprise to see in the wild just how the map ends up sorting out and what people end up doing, and we're really looking forward to just watching what happens.
Yeah. I mean, I count myself among the many that are excited to go ahead and dive on in, having more players to go ahead and dive on in on trials, no matter what the case is, to maybe try and go ahead and actually get some more competitive rank. Cooley, thank you so much for taking the time to walk us through these today. We really appreciate it.
Anytime, my pleasure.
Excellent. And all right, well, we'll go ahead and use that as a moment to conclude the quick tour as well of the PvP maps. We got a quick question from chat from Jacosor asking about, are we going to get a playlist or mode that'll be just these new maps during Into the Light? And the answer is yes. When they launch on May 7th, we'll have a 3v3 playlist to go ahead and talk just about these items. I'd rather let you play just those maps. Rather, we're talking about them today. They're all going to be playing them very shortly. All right, well, that so far wraps up the first two segments of our show. But we've got, as I mentioned at the top, a few more announcements for you as well. So you may have heard us mention the word Pantheon in the TWID last week, or even on the show here last week potentially as well. We have got a brand new raid boss gauntlet rather, starting on April 30th. Now there will be more information about this in an upcoming TWID. You'll have more details to dig into shortly, but you will have the Pantheon coming up, where you'll have an opportunity to face grueling raid bosses in a weekly challenge with escalating difficulties and rewards. Now this is a chance for you to go ahead and rally your clan or the perfect fire team with Fireteam Finder, if you're able to track them down, to go ahead and track down those exotics, adept weapons, any emblems you may not have gotten your hands on. But we have more details for that in the coming weeks. Keep an eye on the TWID. Cosmo and the community team, thank you for your hard work putting that together.
Oh, it's freaking lagging.
On April 9th. Actually, rather, before we get there, I'm sorry, we will have the opportunity to you'll have the opportunity to get a title through your course of Into the Light as well. So if you dive on in, go ahead and unlock all the triumphs associated with the seal, you'll be able to march into the final shape with a brand new title, Brave, as well. So make sure, go ahead and get those big challenges bit offs. That way you can handle them as early as you possibly can and let the witness know that
give
you're
me
on
a
the way.
second.
And we have three really, really cool things hitting on April 9th when Into the Light launches. The first one is, if you're a new player, you got a buddy who's just jumping into the game for the first time, and you'd rather not hang out with Shahan and the Cosmodrome, then you have an opportunity to go ahead and just join the front lines. You can skip the New Light campaign.
Why is it lagging all of a sudden?
A special developer preview of some gameplay for Destiny 2: The Final Shape. It'll be here, wherever you're watching
Destiny
live,
2: The Final
you'll be able to go ahead and
Shape
watch
gameplay,
it on April 9th at 9:30 a.m. Pacific. where you'll get a chance to basically, again, get a look behind the scenes. The developers have been hard at work for some cool stuff that you are definitely not going to want to miss. And over the course of that show, Twitch drops will be live. So there'll be another
new emblem,
which
guys.
You can see here live on the screen. That'll be available after about 15 minutes of view time. If you haven't gone ahead and also unlocked the emblems that you got as a result of this show or that we're having available during the Into the Light streams, then you have a chance to go ahead and spend some more time unlocking those as well. But that does it.
That does
for
it,
starters,
guys.
to all of you Guardians out there in chat, thank you so much for taking the time
Thank
to join
you all
us.
for
We're
watching
thrilled
my
about
video.
What we've been able to show off and thrilled about what the team's been working on for Into the Light.
Thank you,
so
Bungie,
thank you for taking the time to join
everything.
us. Chat, we see you out there.
I
Have
appreciate
a good time.
you guys.
So thank you
I'm
very
Year One
much
Blink.
for taking the time to be with us today. Also, it goes without saying, but we'll go ahead and
Year
do
One
so
Blink.
anyway, to the incredible team here at Bungie, building
YouTube.
Into the Light, making all of this, the teams that you guys have been kind enough to represent. Thank you all so much for all of your hard work. We're nothing without the entire teams that we have here. Teams are obviously greater than heroes, and we're firm believers in that. You're all great examples of that whole scenario. To our play testers as well that have helped us bring this show to life, to Ashley, Peyton, and Michael here behind the scenes, thank you so much for showing off some of the cool new content. And of course, all of our guests, to Tom, to Rob, to Cooley, to Willie, to Noah, to Kelsey. I'm not forgetting anyone, am I?
Chris.
To Chris, thank you. To the one and only Mr. Chris Proctor as well. Thank you all for joining us. And now that is about it. So we're going to keep the stream here live until about 11:30, I believe, so you can go ahead and get a little bit more time racking up the last bits of those emblems. But in the meantime, that's it for all of us here at Bungie. Oh, also, I'm sorry, to the team of producers here, to everyone here that makes this show possible, they have the challenge of making me look good on camera, so obviously their work is cut out for them. Thank you all so much for helping bring this show to life. And now, finally, we're going to go ahead and sign off, and reminder, Into the Light launches next week. But in the meantime, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and we'll see you all Starside.
Peace.